What's up, guys? This is Kyurem from the Trinity of Lift, and today I'm bringing all of you guys an updated deck profile of my Madolche deck for this April 2015 ban list. So, because a lot of the problematic cards for this deck, like Skill Drain and Vanity's Emptiness, all got hit to 1, I feel that this deck is a little bit more viable within the format now that the floodgates did get hit. Don't get me wrong, though. I'm not saying that Madolche is some kind of really good tier one deck, but I still do believe that it is a fun deck, and it does have its place within the format right now, as it can surprise your opponent at times if they're not prepared for it. So let's get right into this deck profile. Alright, so starting us off, we start off with the triple Madolche Angele, because we have to basically run 3 Madolche Angele, like, we have to max out on her. She is our essential combo piece within the deck, as she is part of our bigger combos, as well as even if you don't have the combo pieces alongside her, she is also a single card +2 for you. So, just the ability to let you get 2 cards over your opponent with just a single Angele is pretty darn crazy. So you really have to max out on her because she just provides so much for the deck, and she is the one that provides you your advantage. So we do run the 3 Madolche Angele. Following up Angele, we have the triple Madolche Madeline. She is our Stratos within the deck. Whenever she is normal summon, she does search out any Madolche within our deck and adds it to our hand. So she is the one that will add our consistency to the deck, and she will help us get to our Angeles faster. Or if not our Angele, if we maybe already have one, she will at least get us to our combo pieces as fast as possible. So we do have the triple Madolche Madeline just for our consistency. Following Madolche Madeline, we now have 3 Madolche Hootcakes. We have Hootcakes here obviously so we can have our combos with our Angele, because usually we'll be going into Hootcakes with our Angele, as Hootcakes will be always live if you do go into it with Angele, since Angele will be in grave. But we also do still run the 3 Madolche Hootcakes, because now within my version of Madolches, we do have some other cards that will help Hootcakes become just much more live, much more often. So you can also draw into him maybe early game and whatnot and still not have him dead. Because there are possibilities that he'll be dead. But again, like I said, I do have cards within this deck that will try and help alleviate that problem as much as possible. So we do run the 3 Hootcakes. Next, we do run 2 Madolche Mufwe. The only reason why we do run 2 rather than what I used to run, which was 3, is because now we do run a couple more cards that sort of replace Mufwe in the sense that it replaces what Mufwe does provide in our combos. As usually the big power combo within the deck is going to be a Mufwe and an Angele. But with, again, like I said, there's other cards now within our deck that will essentially replace what Mufwe provides for the combo, which is essentially another level 3 monster. So that having triple Mufwe is less important. So I did cut it down to 2 just so we don't dead draw into it as much, because drawing into multiples of Mufwe is pretty darn horrendous. So I did cut it down to 2 just so we can cut down on the dead drawing and the multiple drawings. So we have the 2 Mufwe. Finally, for the last 2 Madolche monsters we do run the 2 Messengelato. He is our spell and trap searcher within the deck, so we do run 2 of him. We do not need 3 because we only have 2 Messengelato to search really about, what, 4 targets? And you out of those 4 targets, you only really need 2 of those targets, which is 1 Chateau and 1 Ticket. So you don't really need to search every single spell and trap out of the deck, which is why 2 is a good number. And you don't want more than 2, because at 3 he will definitely clog. You never actually want to draw into him. You want to special summon him from deck, usually off of a Hootcakes or maybe an Angele or something like that. As the only way you can have him live within your hand is by having him getting accompanied by a Mufwe, which in all honesty is not a play that you really want to do, because having a Mufwe and a Messengelato really doesn't synergize all that well, because you cannot overlay with both of them. So that's why you want to try and avoid that kind of play. So we do just run the 2 Messengelato just so we don't clog him up that much. So that is it for the primary Madolches. Moving on to the supporting cast, we start off with the 2 Swift Scarecrow. We have the Swift Scarecrow in here because this deck does lack a good amount of defense. There isn't really much defense in this deck. And if your opponent can't punch through your Madolches, you really are kind of left defenseless. So in order to alleviate that problem, I do run the 2 Swift Scarecrow. And now the reason why I do run Swift Scarecrow over Battle Fader is because firstly, when Battle Fader is activated, you have to summon him. And then what's worse is that when Battle Fader leaves the field, he gets banished. The reason why I like Swift Scarecrow better is because when Swift Scarecrow is activated, you discard him. Now that he'll be engraved, you'll actually have your Who Cakes live because you can banish the Swift Scarecrow to get Who Cakes effect. So, now you guys can kind of see why I can run the triple Who Cakes now is because we have Swift Scarecrow to help our Who Cakes become live if we do draw into the Who Cakes. So we do have the 2 Swift Scarecrow for that defensive aspect as well as to help progress our game state with our Who Cake plays. Following Swift Scarecrow, we also do run 2 Tragodia now. The reason why we do run Tragodia is very similar to Swift Scarecrow in the form that we can summon him whenever we do take battle damage to ensure that our board is never clear as much as we possibly can keep it from being clear. Another thing, too, that Tragodia does provide is, first of all, he can manipulate his level if we do have a monster engraved. So it can help us transform him into a level 3 or a level 4, whenever we might need him, so we can go into our specific XYZ monsters whenever the situation calls for it. Another thing that he does provide that is actually pretty cool is that he can also act as a sort of mind control for our opponent, as we can steal our opponent's monsters with his other effect. And it really is helpful in the sense that it also helps you do much better within the Cleefort matchup, as if your opponent normal summons a level 4 Cleefort, if they just normal summon them so that they become level 4, Tragodia can actually pitch a level 4 from your hand to steal that opponent's monster, because Tragodia is innately a level 10. So that means the Cleeforts will be naturally affected by Tragodia because he is a higher level than them. So that cool little interaction against the Cleefort matchup is also pretty nice, as you can steal your opponent's Cleeforts and then overlay with them. So having the 2 Tragodia just to provide that defense and that stealing of your opponent's monsters, as well as to help us progress our own game state by changing his level, really is just, it turns Tragodia into a very versatile card within this deck, and in my opinion, you should try and max out on him now, and I will be keeping the Tragodias within this deck. And then finally, we do run one more monster in the form of 1 Maxi. We do run the 1 Maxi because, well, there's a lot of decks that special summon now, and having that extra ability to get some free draws and dig for our combo pieces within the deck is very nice. And honestly, I will mention this though, that Maxi I did put in here just because I was stuck at 39 cards for the longest time when building this deck, and I threw in Maxi as the 40th card. So really, you can kind of cater Maxi to whatever you might want to personally put into this deck. It doesn't necessarily have to be Maxi. That's just personally what I put in, but you really can just play around with this one card and you can put in whatever you feel like. So just that's an FYI for you all. So that is it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells, we start off with the 2 Madolche Chateau. You don't need 3 because you can recycle Chateau if it ever does get destroyed, and you can search it out with Messengelado. So we do have the 2 Chateau just to provide our Madolches with that extra attack and defense boost, as well as to help recycle our Madolches back to our hand. Another thing I should mention is because Chateau will keep recycling our Madolche monsters to our hands, it'll actually also help benefit Tragodia, because Tragodia will have a lot more cards in our hand to make Tragodia that much bigger. So it can't. There are times when you'll have Tragodia actually as a 3.6k beater, which is massive. And I think it can run over every single thing within this meta that is sort of relevant, as I believe the biggest thing that is sort of relevant that you might see is like maybe the Necros of Decisive Armor. And if you do get your Tragodia up to 3.6k, well, you can obviously run him over. So having the Chateau just for our Madolches as well as to back up our Tragodia is always helpful. Following the 1 Chateau, or the 2 Chateau, excuse me, we do run the 1 Madolche ticket, just so we can get our extra searches off whenever we do need to, or whenever we can get a free special summon. This will just help us keep our combos going, or at least help us keep gaining advantage over our opponent, as you really do want to keep gaining advantage within this deck, just so you can have that edge. So ticket does help us get that advantage as much as we possibly can. Moving on to the more general spell cards, we have the triple Upstart Goblin. We have the Upstarts obviously because we want a 37 card deck. We want the consistency that Upstart provides because this is a very combo-based deck. So we want to have our combo pieces as soon as possible. So we do have the 3 Upstart to help us with that. Following the triple Upstart, we have the 3 MST. We have the 3 MST for general back row removal because we don't want to get Solemn Warning. We don't want to get Bottomless. We don't want our opponent to do stuff to our monsters mid-combo. So we do have the 3 MST to help prevent our opponent from even getting their trap cards off before they even have a chance. So now, following those 3 MSTs, we do now have 2 Instant Fusion. This is another combo spell card that we do run, And the reason why we do run Instant Fusion is just so we can have free level 4s or free level 3s so that we can go into our specific rank 4s or rank 3s whenever we need them. I will say that you can also go into the very powerful combo with Angele if you just have an Instant Fusion and an Angele, as again, to get your big combo off, all you essentially need is an Angele and another level 3. So Instant Fusion is also able to provide that level 3 whenever we do need it. Finally, we have 2 more spells in the form of the 2 powerful one-ofs of this format. We have the one Book of Moon and the one Raigeki. Both are extremely powerful spell cards that, in my opinion, should be run in almost every deck. So that is it for the spells. Going on to the traps, we start off with the one Madolche Palooza. Palooza is here to help you swarm your field with Madolche monsters whenever you need them in hand and whenever you want to go for a big push play. So we do have the Palooza here. I will mention that you rarely will ever search this, and the only time you'll ever use it is if you eventually draw into it. But it is a good one-of to have, just in case you either want to continue your combo, or you want to, I guess you could say, do stuff with your in-hand Madolches that you previously couldn't do because you might have already used your normal summon or whatnot. So we do have the Palooza just to elongate our combos and whatnot. So, following that, we have quite a bit of 2 of traps, actually. So, we start off with the 2 trap stun. We have the 2 trap stun, obviously, in the same mentality as MST. We don't want our opponent to stop our combos midway. So, we have the trap stun to ensure that we can get our combos off. Following that, we have the 2 Mirror Force. Because, like I said with Scarecrow, this deck doesn't have much defense, and I really did want to fix that problem as much as I could. So I do have the 2 Mirror Force within here, just so even if our opponent makes a big board and attacks us, we do have some sort of a defense so that we can wipe our opponent's board and try and gain some more advantage over them. So we do have the Mirror Forces for that. And then now for the final 2 of trap we do run a 2 Breakthrough Skill, because actually, in my opinion, Breakthrough Skill is a very underrated card this format because not a lot of people are running it, but it is a very powerful trap card to have because we do not want our opponent's Necrons of Unicorns, our opponent's Necrons of Cthulhu's, and all that good stuff to have their effect. So having the 2 Breakthrough Skill to prevent our opponent's effects, and so we don't have to worry about them, is always very, very helpful within this format. Finally, for the last 2 traps, we do run, again, the 2 staple trap cards now. We do have the one Bottomless and the one Compulse. Both are very, very strong trap cards that we should run as staples. And Bottomless, again, also gives us that very good advantage over the Cleafort matchup. So we do have these 2 traps to round off our main deck. Moving on to our extra deck, we start off with the girl herself. We have the 2 Madolche Queen Tiramisus. We have to run 2 of her because, frankly, you will never need 3, as if you ever have to find yourself going into the 3rd one, you're probably in a bad state already. So you don't need the 3rd. And really, she is our big boss monster of the deck. She is the one that we want to get into as soon as possible because Tiramisu just is by herself a walking -2 for your opponent. Just having the ability to have a non-targeting bouncing effect that spins your opponent's cards back to deck is almost unheard of, as I don't believe there is any other card like Tiramisu within the game, as her effect is just that crazy. So we do want to try and get to our Tiramisu as fast as we possibly can. Following Tiramisu, we have some combo-based XYZ monsters, so it'll help get us into our Tiramisus. And we start off with the 2 Levier. We have to have the 2 Levier for our basic combo to going into our Tiramisus, as we'll usually be getting back the monster that we banished from Hook Cake's effect with Levier. And that monster usually will be an Angele. So we have to have the 2 Leviers, really, just so we can ensure that we can go into our combos at least twice within every duel. Following Levier, we do have the 1 MX Saber Invoker, very similar to Levier in that he is our combo XYZ monster. We have to have him in here for the odd occasion where we cannot summon something from our banished pile. So we do have the Invoker so that we can at least summon a Madolche from our deck, which is going to probably be Messing Gelato. So we do have the 1 Invoker. And then following those guys, we have a Downward Magician, because we don't want to leave our Invokers and our Leviers on our field, as they're both pretty darn small at being 1800 attack and 1600 attack respectively. So we do have the Downward Magician to overlay straight over those guys so we can make them a little bit bigger, as well as we can have a Piercer on our board so our opponent might not want to play they might not want to play defensively against a Downward Magician unless they want to take damage. So we do have the Downward Magician just to provide those benefits for us. So that's why we do run the one Downer Magician. Following that, we do have just some pretty darn staple rank 4s in the form of one Abyss Dweller, because we don't want our Burning Abyss opponents and our Shaddoll opponents to get their card effects, so we do have Dweller to prevent that. We have the one Exiton Knight, because whenever we have to nuke the board, it's always good to have that access for us. We do have the one Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon, just so we can have an out to big monsters like Apocalypse Towers and whatnot. And then we have the one Castel, because it is essentially a mini Tiramisu, although it isn't nearly as good as Tiramisu. There are times when we will be having to make this guy if we don't have Tiramisu access, so having the Castel is always helpful. And then finally, for the last rank 4 we do run is the Gaga Cowboy, because pew pew, 800 damage, stealing games, always fun. Now then, moving on to the couple rank 3s that I do run, we do run the one number 20 Giga Brilliant, as if you do get off your combo, there are some times when you'll have the ability to make an extra rank 3, and so I put Giga Brilliant in here just for those occasions when I can make that extra rank 3, as bumping up your Tiramisu's Under Chateau to 3000 attack is nothing to laugh at. So we do have the one Giga Brilliant. And then for general walling and defensive measures, we do have the one Mech Whipped Engineer as our rank 3 wall. I chose this over Zen mains primarily because I didn't really like Zen mains within testing. I didn't like how, I guess you could say he was an easier out, because all your opponent would have to do is blow him up a couple times and then he would be off the field. So I did choose Engineer just because he is immune to destruction for an entire turn. So if your opponent decides to throw a ton of destruction effects at you, you can at least know that you're going to be much safer under Engineer than if you were to be under Zen mains. So I do have the one Engineer. Then finally, to round off our extra deck, we do have the 2 instant fusion targets in the form of one Carbonella Warrior and one Fusionist. We have these obviously just for our rank 4 and our rank 3 plays, and just so we can have that free level 4 or level 3 within our field. So we do run these 2. Alright guys, so that concludes my Madolche deck profile, updated for this April 2015 ban list. I hope you did enjoy, and please, as always, let me know what you guys think of this Madolche deck down in the comment section below. And as always, this is Kyurem from the Trinity of Lift, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.